Paranormal Investigations family. It is so good to hear from you guys. Again, I want to thank everybody that's supporting bringing Hunter home. This is one of the hardest things I've ever went through. Having to leave your son when he's crying, begging you not to have to leave, and they're ripped out of the only place that they ever knew. This sucks really bad. And I appreciate each and every one of you that's donating to help bring him home. The prayers, watching the videos, the commercials. Thank you so much, guys. You're the best. The links are in the description if anybody would like to help bring Hunter home and support that. We have a new one today. She says, this story is about my brother Alec. Our mom had married a man that spent his time in Florida and West Virginia. 6 months in Florida and 6 months in West Virginia. My brother was still in school. He was 15 when this happened to him. Currently, they were in Florida. Alec and our brother Andrew went to school together. They were playing ball on the playground of the school. At the playground behind the school, there was a forest. Andrew said, Alec, you smell that? Alec looked around and tried to see if he could see anything in the woods. Being from West Virginia, you train yourself to be able to see animals walking about in the woods or in the trees. Alec didn't see anything and said, I smell it, but I don't see it. Andrew said, let's go in and find it. Alec was 5'6" and Andrew was about 5 foot. Neither of them had stopped growing yet. Alec was a bit of a coward and Andrew was a bull in a china cabinet. Andrew didn't care if it killed him or anyone. Alec kept looking in the forest to see if he could see the animal. He was sure it was probably just a skunk, but Alec had smelled a skunk before, and there was a skunk at their house once. This seemed a little different. Alec and Abigail accidentally scared the skunk, and it sprayed them. It took a long time for the smell to go away, but the smell in the forest wasn't quite the smell. It was a skunk that rolled in a pile of sick manure and then threw up too. It was a very sickening, musky smell. The other kids in the playground started to complain of the smell. The teachers that were out on the playground started to take notice. Alec and Andrew were at the age that the teachers would listen to them, and at the edge of the forest they were looking. Then the two of them saw it. Goosebumps went all over their bodies. Their hair was standing up on their arms, as if they had been electrocuted. Alec and Andrew were frozen to their spot. They were terrified. One of the teachers came over to them and put their hand on their shoulders. The teacher had not seen what they were looking at. The creature was looking straight at them. Fight or flight hit. Alec and Andrew knew that the teacher had touched them. Alec said he jumped at least a foot in the air. Alec said he was crying, and so was Andrew. They turned at the same time. The teacher saw what they were looking at and started to run. The teacher was frozen in his tracks. Alex went back and grabbed the teacher and was pulling him. The teacher finally came around and started to scream, everyone in the building now. Everyone heard the fear in his voice, and no one asked any questions. They all ran as fast as they could into the building. The teachers locked the school down and called the parents. The parents would come to pick up the children. The school was out until they built a 10-foot wall between them and the forest. Life was scary enough without having the face of a creature like that at school. The next time Alec came across one was whenever he was with his wife in Ohio. Alec was about 24 and living in a tent in the woods near Lake Erie. Alec and Debbie, his wife, decided to go to the forest and sit down to have a cigarette, and then go to bed early. Around 2 in the morning, Alec had his wife waking him up, laying there trying to figure out what had him woken. Then he smelled it. He rolled over and patted Debbie and said in a quiet voice, "Debbie, wake up." Alec knew he had to make him he had made a mistake by doing that because Debbie started to moan in her sleep. Alec knew it was a Sasquatch or Bigfoot. It was the same putrid smell that he had smelled in Florida. Alec said he thought that this time it was going to get him. Was the thing following him? Could there be that many of them? There was no way it was in Ohio also. He tugged at Debbie and again said, "Please be quiet. We have to get up." Debbie opened her eyes and said, "What's going on? What's that? What's wrong? What's the smell? What is that?" The next thing they knew, a razor-like claw slit the back of the tent. Debbie screamed. Alec knew it was a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot. He knew that the thing that had slit the tent was the same thing that he had smelled at school. They jumped and screamed and jumped up and grabbed his wife. They ran and jumped in the truck and took off for the highway. Alec didn't look back, but Debbie did. Debbie said the creature lifted the tent up and tore it to shreds. She said she was glad Alec shielded her from looking at it because what she saw made her cry even at the distance. Alec said he didn't look at it that time. He knew it would freeze. Alec said he couldn't understand why the creature picked on them. There were other campers out there. Alec said he didn't look because he was so afraid. I can't tell you, Mike, how scared I was. We didn't even have food in our tent, Mike. Nothing to even bring him up there. Why did he pick our tent? The only thing we were doing was smoking. Was he attracted to the cigarette smoke? Was this the same one I seen at school in Ohio, Mike? Did it follow me this far? Well, I don't think it's the same Sasquatch. I would say that where you was at, you had another encounter. Why you had that encounter, I'm not sure. Some people say, and this is another thing that me and Brooks and Scott have talked about in length, and I think we're going to have to do a video on this, I think, and do a members video on it. Because it seems that people that have an encounter at a small age, like this gentleman did when he was in school, seem to have encounters throughout their life. Now, whether or not it's the same creature, I'm not sure. I don't know if whenever you have that encounter, if it opens up a discernment sense that you're able to see these things at a small age. If something happens in the brain or in the body or in the soul that causes you to be able to do this, and that these creatures are able to tell that you're able to do this, so they reveal themselves to you because they know that you are able to see them. I believe something happens whenever that happens, especially, it even happens to people on accident. People that have accidental sightings, accidentally see one, and then they continue to have encounters. And these are people that have never had encounters before in their life, and some of these are older people. My mom, for instance, she was the closest one to the creature at my granny's. And then everybody always thought that it was after her the most, and whenever she was down there, it was always after her the most. So something happens during the encounter. There's some kind of a link or something happens if they, I use the word, and I've noticed other people started using the word now, they imprint, I believe, on you, or there becomes an infatuation. Something happens, and I'm not real sure, but I am going to study that, and I believe that is something that we should add to the moon phases and, accidental encounters. I think those two are very, very important, and I think that's something that we should really be looking into, because I think there is a connection. I mean, if you're driving down the highway and you see something and it sees you and you make that eye contact and you've never had encounters before, then all of a sudden at your house you start having encounters, something happened. And I think that there's something really important going on there. That would be my thoughts on that. We'll just have to look at more cases and start a case study on it. Thank you for sharing that story with me, and thank you everybody for watching and listening. And keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And if you see something, maybe walk away. Don't try to run away, because I'll guarantee you won't be able to outrun it.